do it for you.
It's like, oh, yeah, look at all this timber. Yeah.
I'll call the meeting to order. Appreciate everybody coming in early. This was the time factor. Look for us for the work plan and forward to the county board today, and then he can get it to the state in a timely manner. Is there anything you want to discuss about it, Jared, or not?
I'm assuming most of you guys read it pretty well. It's not much different from last year's. All these tables have been updated, slightly different numbers, very similar though, ongoing. One thing I want to highlight is, if you look at our present acres of oak, we have 11,600 acres. In the future is planned to be 7,600. Right above that is northern hardwoods. That's
Making up the difference.
that'll make up the difference. So the reason for that is a lot of our ground is suited for northern hardwoods, maples, basswood, ash, birch, yellow birch. And it's also suited for oak, but we have a lot of pure oak stands, more or less pure, on hardwood ground, so they're slowly converting to maple. But where the ground is more suited for oak, we'll continue to manage those for oak, and that's where you see the shelter woods and our timber sales, where we're trying to regenerate those. Just a little forestry lesson there for you. Time standards from the DNR, this is pretty important. It remains the same this year again at 2,129 hours we will get from them. Again in 2020, well, their fiscal year that ended at the end of June, they surpassed those hours again, which is good. I try to keep them mostly on timber sale establishment as well as a variety of other stuff like invasive control. And some log scaling, but not much. But they also do a lot of oversight on us to make sure that we're doing our job with timber sale administration, various things like that, as well as our timber sale establishment. Harvest goals remain pretty similar. 15-year average, just over 3,000 acres a year. So that'll include acreage that's scheduled to be harvested this year, but we look at it and it's not quite ready, we'll defer it for 5 or 10 years. It's scheduled for this year, so it counts as established. It's not established, so we don't actually cut 3,200, but we get close. And some years we'll surpass it, we get a glut, which does happen. Of course, the long-term goal is to spread that all out evenly, so we have the same acreage per year to get a consistent income for the county. I want to touch on recon status. We are in excellent shape here. 99.81% of our forest is reconned within the last 20 years. That's better than most county forests. It's good to look at your woods and know what you're doing. Nothing earth shattering in the rest of it. Parks and recreation are going to remain as they are.
So we had
Continue to build.
mentioning that we have a ad hoc committee now.
Yes, I did mention that. Continue to use that group and press on forward through the challenges that we have with regards to the state and forest certification. We're currently working on 12 plus miles of UTV trail because we acquired another grant this summer for 7 miles, and we're still working on the previous 5. So, work in progress as usual. Campgrounds and everything else remain the same. Those aren't really addressed from here. That sums it up. In the back, you see some of the grants that we deal with. Before that, you have miscellaneous items. Forest certification, we will be included this in 2024 in a full recertification audit through SFI forest certification, which is a huge deal.
How often do they do that?
So the county forests are under an umbrella certification we're all in one group.
Or like
certification.
Wisconsin.
Yep, yeah, just Wisconsin County Forest, which is 30 counties, 2.4 million acres or something like that. It's the largest public land holding in the state, more than federal forests and more than state forests. So yeah, every morning, Terry, every summer there is an audit. They pick a subset, like 3 to 5 counties each year. So it comes to Rusk County every 5 to 7 years. I think our last one was, I forget, 2017 maybe, or 2016. Paul Testa was still here, but.
I thought there was one since that, Jared, because it seems like I remember one.
There may have been a surveillance type audit, that's not a true
Okay.
certification audit.
And it was supposed
And
to be.
we had, this summer, we had our 3-year, 5-year now, yeah, our 5-year DNR audit with all the financials and stuff like that. So that's a little different, that's more of an internal DNR audit, but it's also required for certification.
Okay.
But so this coming summer, we'll have actual auditors from wherever in the country. I think usually they're from out east, like,
Independent.
yep, they're independent contracted auditors that I think they kind of specialize in forest, yeah, for sure, specialize in forest certification stuff, and they go all over the country, maybe even the world, I'm not sure, to do these audits.
Jared, in that audit, what is gonna be said about these young growth aspen stands that are, 10 to 15 years old that are basically flattened by that heavy snowfall we had last year? What's that gonna play into this?
It shouldn't really play into the audit.
Is there a clause in some of that stuff for act of God?
Yeah, we're not at fault for squashing those trees. We've kind of taken a stance that, like places like Douglas County, they have huge expanses of aspen that's totally flat. Most of ours, you still have live trees, it's still a scattering of live trees, so.
They're
We're not
mostly
gonna-
looking at how we're managing it,
Yeah.
not what's happening with the trees, cause we can't control it.
Right, yeah, we can't control an act of God, but we can address it after the fact.
Well, are they gonna look at that, there's a couple counties right now, I was told this over a weekend, and I don't even remember who told me. They're going in on some of them 10, 12-year-old aspen stands, and they're flattening them, so
Yep.
they're coming back. Is that something we're gonna have to?
I don't plan on doing that. That costs a lot of money that we don't have. And, like I was saying, I think we'll have some shitty aspen sales in the future because of that storm. There won't be as high of a bolt, run in there, it'll be more pulp, but, I think the hands-off approach is better in our situation. From what I've seen, it's more scattered. There are definitely pockets where it's pretty flat, but even in those pockets, they're still alive and they're still growing. They'll straighten up to some degree, but there's gonna be crooked stuff. And then, no different than Price County is still dealing with crooked trees from the 77 downwards in their forest. But.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Moving forward. Discussion? We'll see what I put down. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. So we'll meet again tomorrow at 3:30 after a short intermission today.
3:30 or 3?
3? Oh.
That one, I'm gonna state right now, I may be a little late on, I have interviews at noon to 3, so.
Where's your